Today on Carib Nation, we'll take a look at the making of Jamaica's most popular rum, Appleton. That's up next on Carib Nation.
To all those who give birth to, homes to, or just give thought to people adopted as infants, thanks for considering adoption.
Hello, welcome to Carib Nation. I'm Darris Dean on location in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, the home of Appleton Rum, Jamaica's finest. With me to talk about the making of that rum is Ruth Ann Keating. Ruth Ann, welcome to Carib Nation. We're sitting here in the replica of an old aging house as we would have seen it in olden times.
250
years ago. Let's talk about first sugar. The sugar cane, we'll talk about how we go through the process from sugar cane to rum and the role that sugar plays in that. Most of us are familiar with sugar cane.
Right.
Some people are not so familiar with sugar cane. But for those of us who are, sugar cane can be sweet, sugar cane can be tasteless.
Definitely.
What determines that?
It's checked at the sugar factory. It's first harvested and taken to the sugar factory, taken to a lab and checked for the sucrose content. Depending on the sucrose content, it depends on how much sugar you will actually get from that cane.
Now, what determines the sucrose content? Is that how much rain we have, whether we have dry
Yes.
land? What is it?
Yes. Too much rain is damaging. Too little rain is damaging. It's just about right when it rains. Well, it rains here every day, basically. But it's not harvested during the period when it's raining. Mm-hmm. It's harvested when it's not raining. It helps, though, when there's a lot of rain. And then it's chopped, taken to the factory, milled, checked first, of course, and then milled. Goes through about 6 rollers, 6 3-roller mills for the extraction of the juice. After we obtain that juice, it's boiled. Basically to remove the excess amount of water, and about 50% of the water evaporates. So we end up with a really thick, really thick syrup with crystals appearing. That mixture is called wet sugar. Right now, the wet sugar is passed through a centrifugal separator, centrifugal basket. It works like a washing machine. Spins really fast, separates the crystals from the liquid, and the crystals would be brown sugar and the liquid molasses.
Now let's talk a little bit about the types of distillation that you use. You showed us the old system,
Pot stills,
the new system, the pot stills versus the column stills. Explain that a little bit more for us.
All right. With the pot stills, it distills pretty much a unique rum and flavorful rum, basically. With the newer type, it distills a lighter rum where it's used for the manufacturing of gin, vodka, liqueurs, flavored rums, etc. But where the old is concerned, it distills mostly or best seller, which is our Overproof.
Overproof. Now, Overproof is very popular
Extremely.
the world over, especially in Jamaica.
Yes,
Tell us why
especially.
is it so special and what do they use it for?
It's used for a very number of things. Medicinal purposes, like for a headache. Most people say, it gives them a headache, but of course it can get rid of a headache also. It soothes, just rub it on. It's used for a sore throat, a little Overproof rum and lime juice and honey shot, and the sore throat is gone. It's used also for fever, somewhat like how rubbing alcohol is used.
Yeah.
And mostly though, it's used at Christmas time in Jamaica for special Christmas things like a Christmas cake. Fruits will be soaked in Overproof rum for 3 months
Oh my goodness.
before Christmas time, and
Imagine
then
what that
baked
cake
at
will do with
Christmas. Yeah, so it absorbs the fruit.
Right.
The fruit
It
absorbs the Overproof rum, and then it's baked. So one slice and you're gone. And it's also used
Not
for
even a whole slice, I'm sure
half of a slice. It's also used for sorrel, which is a traditional Christmas drink, right? It's just a flour boiled and the water is used for a drink, and it's never the same without Overproof and ginger. We bottle up to 5,400,000 bottles, for Jamaica yearly of the Overproof, and that's a lot of rum.
And that's for Jamaica only?
Only for Jamaica. We export otherwise. But we export to England, Canada, the United States, not everywhere where the Overproof rum is concerned though, because it's a Jamaican thing. It's a Jamaican rum.
Right.
And we export mostly to where there are lots of Jamaicans living.
Those huge stills that you showed us, the old stills.
The pots.
The pots that you mentioned were originally from Scotland.
They were taken here.
Talk a little bit about how old they are and how you maintain them.
They're over 250 years old. They were taken from Scotland, so they were being used for...
Made of steel?
No, they're made of copper.
Copper.
With sort of, we put a bit of cement on the outside to sort of insulate it and to preserve them a bit. They're not making the parts of the pot stills anymore, so it's quite expensive maintaining them, but we try to, just by patching them up sort of and starting again.
And will the time come when you will have to switch over completely to
Hopefully
the
not.
stills?
Hopefully not.
No.
That's the reason we're trying desperately hard
keep
to
them.
maintain
Because they give you that
the
flavor,
flavorful
a special
rums.
flavor. Why is it that the column stills don't?
It's, all right. It has a lot to do with modern technology. Sometimes it's sort of negative, I'm sure this saying will sum it all. The new broom sweeps cleaner, but the old broom knows every corner.
Yeah.
It's likewise.
I see.
It's likewise. It's just, it will not give you the same flavor. Nowadays, even with our aging process, which is done in oak barrels, wooden barrels, there are now aging spirits in stainless steel containers, so there must be additives. And it's just not the same.
Not the same.
It's most definitely not the same. The flavor will not be as great as it is now
Yes,
with the
most
pots.
definitely, of course. That's one of the reasons Caribbean rum is so
It's
popular.
known throughout the
around
world. Throughout the world.
Simply because they've been able to maintain that natural,
That quality.
original quality.
That quality. Definitely.
The this actual premises that you're on here has gone through many changes
Many.
over time. What are the ones that have been most beneficial in terms of, one, trying to maintain that old original system, and two, trying to work in the new technology or a more modernized system to help with production?
Well, we definitely can't stop with the pots, if you know what I mean. Jamaicans will know the difference. But over the years, there have been lots and lots of changes. Say if we were to bottle a product only from our columns, they would definitely know the difference. There's no doubt about that. Jamaicans will, because when we export to England it's exported at about 50% alcohol, and it's already bottled in Jamaica at 70, they will not buy it. It's not bought in England.
Really?
They'll travel to Jamaica and take a few cases back. Of course. So it's not bought over there. But the change is we're trying our utmost best to make it better and not to cut out with the old way of doing it, even with the harvestation of the cane. Yeah.
Now, molasses is another byproduct. When you get through that distillation, you get to the next level.
Right.
Tell us what goes on from there.
Well, the molasses, that's the first part of the process of separating the sugar, the crystals, from the liquid, which is the molasses. Now, we ferment our molasses first and foremost, but there's basically a mixture for our fermentation. A mixture of molasses, water, and yeast. And the water is pumped from the river surrounding us, which is called the Black River. It's pretty sweet. I don't know if you've ever tried molasses before, but it's really, really, really sweet.
Very strong.
So that water is basically for diluting it. And then the yeast is for, it feeds on the sugar, and that converts it into alcohol. Right. So that's the second step of, making rum. After fermentation, it's distilled into, with the pots, it's taken off at about 85%, and with the columns, it's about 92% alcohol. And then after distillation, the blending comes in.
Right,
yeah.
right. Now, molasses is almost not a delicacy, but it's a specialty in some places. You pay high prices for it outside.
Definitely.
But in the Caribbean, molasses is more popular.
Yes.
Have you got a big market
for molasses? Not really.
Because it's very nutritious.
I know, it's
and
pretty
most
healthy.
People don't understand how
it's pretty healthy,
it is.
But not in Jamaica anymore. It's not known. For example, you can't go to a marketplace and purchase molasses anymore.
Really?
It's not being done anymore in Jamaica. No, it's. I suppose they prefer the rum to the molasses.
Well, you don't get the same value from the rum that you do from the molasses.
But
that's a pity, because it is a very, very nutritious, very valuable product that should be
pretty healthy.
Taken full account of. When we go to the fermentation after you've done the how long does it take?
It's a 40-hour period, which is pretty fast. Yeah.
And then we go into aging.
The aging process. For Appleton, anywhere between 3 to 30 years for blending and bottling. You'll never find a single blend coming from Appleton. It's always blended with various years by formulas done by our master blender in Kingston, which is a woman.
Yes, I'd like to talk about her a little bit too. You have quite a unique situation here.
Definitely.
Where you have the only female blender in the world. Talk a little bit about how what was the reaction, number one, to that, and her travel to that point in a sort of a nutshell.
Okay. It's an art. It's all in experience. It's a gifted nose and a gifted tongue. It needs training, right? So she started as our chief chemist. And then she got involved in blending, and she found it rather interesting. So she branched out into blending. She was working under our master blender for about 10 years. And then he retired, but he was still a consultant for Ray and Nephew, our parent company. And then finally, after he retired totally, she took over the position of master blender. Mistress blender is more like it. Give her a title,
Madam
it's master.
Now, when you talk about a gifted tongue and a gifted nose, that's knowing when it's too strong? Is it
knowing when the blend is right. Because it's a technical part of the process, where the blending. So because of the various blends, various years blended by a formula together to produce one product, she has to know exactly, because each barrel is totally different. So each barrel will give you a different taste, everything. So her blending has to make it consistent. Her blending and tasting, it has to be consistent at all times because of the products and not by the specific year. Understand?
So that means that if you go through the aging room, we go through the room where you have all the barrels.
Right.
Will she just choose one barrel, let's say, based on the date, and say, well, we'll blend this with one of another date, and it all has to be from that same barrel? Or can she mix
She does.
with other barrels from that same time?
Okay. You'll find that there are specific formulas that's already been made. So she'll take a batch of, say, a batch of 3 years, and a batch of 5, and a batch of 4, and blends, and she'll call that particular product, say, Appleton Special, right, which is a particular product. But it's easy for her to do that, but it's not a situation where each time she's blending or she's taking a batch of barrels for blending, it's not taken 1 year and next year, etc. But because it's by formulas, it's already written down, a bunch of this, a bunch of that. But what is done is she'll pour a bit more and a bit more just to make sure that there's consistency to her other blend of the same product.
So that you maintain that consistency even from 1 year to the next with that particular specialty.
Definitely. And we're licensed under an international quality control scheme, which is ISO 9002, which is a great achievement for a company like Appleton and Ray and Nephew. And that has to be a consistent product all over.
So that is
over and
quite
over
an achievement
again.
for her.
It is, most definitely.
It's a major achievement.
It is.
And I suppose Jamaica can claim that they set the standard here.
Most definitely when it comes to
giving women a chance.
Thank you.
Yes. And now, let's go back to the byproducts. Now, after we've got through the blending and we come up with all these different specialties, where do we go from there?
Well, it's filled into casks, and the aging is done, and then the blending is done in Kingston. The bottling, everything is done in Kingston. So after distilling it on the estate, it's taken into Kingston via tankers, like a gasoline tanker, and it's filled into casks, blended and bottled, or or taken back on the estate.
Now, when you use oak barrels, any special reason why oak is used versus any other wood?
Oh, well, it gives it the flavor, and it helps with the color also. But most importantly, it's because the wood is permeable.
I see.
The rum breathes, in other words. You know, it allows it to breathe. Air passes through, and that's basically the purpose of aging, in order to mellow the rum because of the air passing through.
You mentioned that the room in which it is kept is naturally cool because
of evaporation.
That evaporation.
It's not like that elsewhere, though, in other countries where it's not as warm as it is in Jamaica. In the Caribbean, it's like that, though. But because of the climatic conditions in Jamaica, that's the reason it helps with the aging process, and it speeds it up a bit. So you'll find that a rum that's aged under a cooler climate, as opposed to a rum that's aged in Jamaica, it ages faster for the rum in Jamaica than elsewhere, because of the climate.
Enhance the flavor.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And the color too, I suppose.
Yes.
And most of that oak wood does not come from Jamaica.
It's not grown here, so we import it. A small amount of the oak is imported from France, but we import majority from the United States.
And that adds
American oak
to the cost.
Definitely.
You also have a number of byproducts after you.
Of rums.
No, the Overproof is used as a base.
Yes.
For
aging and for the liqueurs. There are a number of blends. There's a ginger cream, a banana cream, which is my favorite, a coconut cream. There are so many other blends.
Yeah, I like the ginger myself, and you told me that's new.
Yes.
How new has that come about?
It's about 4 months old, basically. It's about 4 months. It came about or blenders. They're always trying to find different things to do and, you know, different blends, etc. And they thought, there's a ginger wine sort of thing, so why not a ginger rum cream by just making it a bit spicier by adding cream to it instead of just ginger rum cream. And there was already a rum cream, which is sort of like Bailey's.
Right.
And they thought of coming up with a ginger cream instead.
And the banana cream is a little sweet, but it's very smooth.
Very, very smooth.
Very nice.
Very smooth.
And you also have a very interesting spicy pimento.
Pimento liqueur.
Liqueur. Tell us about that a little bit. I'm sure you won't give away any secrets.
Pimento, it's used a lot in Jamaican cuisine. Take jerk chicken or pork. It's, well, authentic jerk pork or chicken. It's pimento wood as firewood, pimento berries and leaves for marinating. So the pimento liqueur came about because of the cooking where Jamaicans are concerned. They will never cook without pimento. And having a pimento liqueur, like to brush it on chicken and baking it, it gives it that alcohol, that spicier taste. Yes, most definitely.
Very interesting flavor that is also.
Pretty spicy.
Yes. The one that everyone knows, of course, is Tia Maria. That's most popular liqueur.
Yes.
That's a coffee-based liqueur. And you also have another one.
Blue Mountain Mist, which is not exported because Tia Maria, it's from the same company, so Tia Maria is basically for export and the Blue Mountain Mist is sold locally. It's only local.
Now you have been here for how long?
4.5 years.
years. You do a number of tours.
Sometimes.
Do people think that you know everything to begin with about sugar?
Yes.
Or about rum?
Yes. Most definitely.
What is the most difficult question that anyone can ask?
That I've ever been asked.
Have you been stumped?
A number of times. My first, for the first 5 months that I was here, or chief or master blender, Madame Blender, she took a group here, and I had no idea what the other components of molasses were apart from sugar. And I was asked that question, and thank God she came in, and sort of rescued me. Yes, and told me, and from then on, I decided I'll never forget it. And I have been, I spoke to our distiller, and I did a lot of courses on it, and now I am aware of the process.
Can answer most questions. You've done pretty well, I think.
Yes,
as far as, how big is this plantation?
Well, about 14,000 acres. Yes, of sugar cane, and there's also a school, a clinic, housing for the employees, some of the employees, and everything. It's all here.
So it's a self-contained plantation where everyone is trained. And what is the position of sugar in the economy at this moment in Jamaica? Where is it located now in terms, you've got tourism, they're embarking on technology. Sugar used to be number 1 export of the Caribbean. It's not anymore.
It's not anymore. It's falling down, it's going down, because there are a lot of competitors where sugar in the Caribbean is concerned, because they make a lot of sugar in Australia. Yeah, and a lot in Florida.
And Mauritius as well.
I wasn't aware of that one.
Yeah.
So it's on the decline, basically. But hopefully they're really working on getting it back to where it was. Yeah.
Do you think this is having a serious effect at the moment in terms of what happens here?
Definitely. Yeah. It is, because a couple of years ago, sugar estates were a huge opportunity for Jamaicans where employment is concerned. And because of all of that, it's going down. The employment, it's not as much as it used to be.
How many plantations are still producing?
There are 9 sugar estates producing sugar, but only 4 distilleries. Really? Yes, it's compulsory that you have to produce sugar before you can
Of
distill.
course, yeah.
So you'll find that there are few sugar factories in Jamaica that does not host a distillery. And it's helping out the process though, because of the 6 months harvesting period of the cane. The sugar factory operates for only 6 months. And the sugar factories without a distillery, their molasses is waste. So it's bought. It's bought by the distilleries and stored, so at least they can have the distilleries operating for the entire year instead of only 6 months, right? So it's helping each other, the process.
That's a difficult prospect to look towards, actually, the decline of sugar in the Caribbean, which was once the main export of the Caribbean. Let's talk a little bit about the rum, the exported rum, and the response that you get.
We export to 63 countries worldwide, right? And the response is tremendous. It's really good. We have people coming to the estate that drinks only Appleton, and they're from Peru.
Really?
You know, we had a group here from Russia the other day, and they drink only Appleton. So it's really doing good. It's really doing a lot for Jamaica and the economy.
Where do you think you're most popular?
Mexico. That's our main export market right now, Mexico. And to think there's tequila in Mexico, but
yes.
Mexico, that's our main export market. And then New Zealand, because there's a particular product called Coruba, which is a caramelized rum that's exported to New Zealand, and it's the #1 selling spirit right now in New Zealand, which is the only country that the sale of another spirit beats the sale of beer.
Really?
Which is a great plus.
What is so special about Coruba?
It's their taste. With Germans, they go for more smooth rums. With Jamaicans, more for sweet. For New Zealand, more spiced. You know, that would be categorized as a spiced rum. So yeah, that's
I didn't taste that one. That's one I missed.
You need to. It's pretty good. It's a good product. Yeah.
About how many people come through here a year?
A year. Well, we had, I'll tell you about our train ride that we had before. There was a train coming here called the Appleton Express from Montego Bay to Appleton. Then it brought about 250, 300 people here per day.
Per day?
But that closed, and we're trying really hard to survive right now. Maybe about 10,000 people per year now.
Per year. So that's really a change.
Yes, a humongous change, a big change.
Do you think that is because people feel that they already know enough about rum? There are not enough people who are curious about?
I don't think so, but with foreigners, it's pretty hard for them driving around. That poses a problem.
It's a long way in off the main track.
Yes, coming here and going back after drinking all that booze, you know, they're boozed out sort of thing.
They'll never find their way back. Well, now I hope you have a much better understanding of how Appleton rum is made and why it is considered one of the finest in the world. Until next time, from location in St. Elizabeth, Jamaica, I'm Daristine, and thanks for watching Carib Nation.